So this one says given, and this is one of the problems where they're giving us kind of like a T-chart, statement, conclusion, and they want us to fill in the blanks basically. So they're giving us statements, sometimes they want us to write the conclusion, sometimes they're giving us the conclusion, they want us to write the statement. Okay. So angle A is complementary to angle ADB. ADB. Angle A is complementary to angle ADB, which is right up here. So I'll indicate those. So that's telling us that those are complementary. So in my head right away, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to say that those two equal 90, right? And that means this also has to equal 90 right here, because the angles have to add up. All three angles in the triangle have to add up to 180. And so I'm thinking to my head, I'm kind of plotting out my attack as I'm going, okay? All right, so and then we'll see what else they want us to do. So they want us actually, they're also saying that C is complementary to CDB. So this one here, which I don't know if that's the same as A necessarily, but I know that that's complementary to this one here. Okay? And then they also tell us that DB bisects ADC. DB bisects ADC. So I know that, ooh, this is good information. I know that this line bisects this angle. Bisects means makes two equal angles, right? So I know that that angle and that angle are going to be equal to each other. So I'm thinking of all the things I can do. I'm like immediately right away I know that those two sides, because I've done these kind of problems before, I know right away, okay, these two are equal. I'm going to be able to establish that, which means these two have to be equal as well, because there's got to be a property, but I got to find that property. Which property tells me that? I don't remember, but I'm going to go try to figure that out and remember which property tells us. So let's start answering these questions. Okay. They want us to prove that A equals C, which is what I was just saying. They want us to prove this right here. Okay, that's the goal. All right, so the first thing is they're giving us all that stuff. We just write down given. Next, it says definition of angle bisector. Oh, okay. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say those two are equal to each other, because that's what an angle bisector is. They told us that it bisects it. So what do I know? I know that angle ADB, that's this one right here, angle ADB, is congruent to angle, this one right here, BDC. You could have written CDB, didn't really matter, right? But those two angles are congruent. Follow that? All right. The next step they tell us down here is they say the definition of angle congruency. Oh, so angle congruency means that two angles are congruent. So that means that the measure of angle ADB, this is being a little bit nitpicky, is equal to the measure of angle BDC. And basically what I'm establishing right here is that the numbers are the same. A lot of times a teacher or a book won't make you do that, but apparently they want us to really label that out, because now what they're saying is they're going toward the idea of complementary, and they're saying that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle ADB, so those two, this measure here, that's A, plus this one right here, that's ADB, is equal to 90. And why is that equal to 90? What did I circle up here? Because that's the definition of complementary. That's what it means to be complementary. That it means that they add up, the measures add up to 90. So that's what I'm doing, the measures add up to 90. And so same with this one here, adding up to this one here, that would be complementary. Okay, the next. Now they're using the transitive property. So the transitive property says this down here on the bottom. if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So I'm using the transitive property. So if so what I'm going to say is that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle ADB, since that's equal to 90 and this is equal to 90, these two are equal to each other. That's equal to the measure of C, the measure of angle C, plus the measure of angle CDB. That's the transitive property. Now I'm using substitution property. Substitution property means I can plug something in, that's something that's equal to something else, I can plug them in. So what I'm going to do is replace this one with this one, because it told me, step 3 told me that those were equal to each other. So I'm saying that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle ADB, notice I didn't change that, equals the measure of angle C plus the measure of angle ADB. I literally substituted this for this because number 3 said that they were equal to each other. That's the substitution property. If you've proven that two things are equal to each other, you can substitute one of them for the other one anytime you want. Substitution property. Now what can I do? Now I'm using the subtraction property to subtract out. What am I going to subtract out? See how that's got the same thing on both sides? So I'm saying the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle C. And if the measure of angle A is equal to the measure of angle C, then angle A is congruent to angle C, which, if we go back to that other reason, that's the definition of angle congruency. And there's my proof.